Oh my gosh, it's finally here. Yes, finally Friday. Welcome to the Fox 5 Live Zone. I'm your host, Guy Lambert. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, busy day. Coming up on the show, apparently, President Trump, well, not too happy with NPR and PBS. Cutting funding. We'll get reaction. Hey, did you hear? Six Flags apparently going bye-bye. Prince George's County Council member Waltz says, hold up, wait a minute. And have you ever seen Maryland by air? Neither have I. However, you're going to get a sneak peek with MPTV. All that and more coming up on the show today. But first, I already know what you want to talk about. Weather, and then some. Tucker Barnes joining us right here on the Live Zone.
Good morning.
Friday,
Happy
sir.
Friday.
You're looking good.
Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah, okay, go.
Yeah, weather. The reason I'm working on the hair is there's more humidity out there. I'm getting a little more wave in the hair today.
That reminds me of Mick Jagger when you do that.
When I do what? When
Yeah, like that, yeah.
It's not the buck teeth or the big.
No,
Okay.
no.
Or
it's
the English smile. Okay. Yeah. I'd rather have Mick Jagger than Austin Powers. Sometimes I get the Austin Powers. I'm like, okay, that's not cool. All right, 77 in Washington, Della 76. So we've got a few clouds out there midday. We also have building heat and humidity, and today will be one of our warmest days we've had so far in 2025, if you can believe it, upper 80s.
Okay.
Want to impress your friends? We have not hit 90 yet in D.C. this year.
Maybe tomorrow. We'll find out.
We're going to be close, both today and tomorrow. I don't think we'll hit 90 either day, but we'll be close, mid to upper 80s both days. All right, so this is your afternoon forecast. Got a few clouds billowing up, and I can't say with 100% certainty there won't be any showers. If you look out towards Elkins, there's a little bit of shower activity and a little bit of a shortwave, well, a little bit of energy coming through.
Okay.
We don't care about scientific terms about it. But the bottom line is that there are a few showers and maybe an isolated risk for a thunderstorm this afternoon. Most of your day will remain dry and just kind of warm and, again, humid out there this afternoon, upper 80s. Going out later this afternoon, tonight, you're going to be in good shape. Tomorrow, we're going to get up. We're going to very quickly warm up into the 80s. Your midday hours will feature partial sunshine. Dry. Want to do a picnic, get a workout outside, fun run. I know there are runs. Gold Cup tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
A lot of outdoor activities. Much of the day will be dry. By mid to late afternoon, a cold front will approach, and as that front comes in, it will increase very rapidly our chances for thunderstorms. See that L in the blue line there? That will move in tomorrow afternoon. Let's call it 4 p.m. in the mountains, and then kind of working across the metro area by 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night. Rain chances will go way up. Thunderstorms are a possibility as well as it comes through. And then the front kind of hangs up on us Saturday night into the day on Sunday. Will keep us cloudy with a few showers around, especially the first half of Sunday. We may dry out Sunday afternoon, but kind of keep the clouds around.
Okay.
All right?
I love it.
That's your weekend forecast. Not terrible, not perfect. We will keep the shower chances in the next week. We're still running big deficits, so the rain timing's not great, but we could always use the rain. And it'll be a cooler next week. We'll be in the 70s.
All right, I'll take it. It is what it is.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh,
at the
yeah.
Gold
That's
Cup.
a matter of fact. You will see me tomorrow.
We'll make sure we take pictures so folks at home.
So we can share it with you on Monday.
There we go.
Have a great weekend.
You too, sir. Tucker Barnes with all things weather right here on the Live Zone. Guys, if you haven't already done so, make sure you download the Fox Local app. That way you can take us any and everywhere you go. All right, let's start the show off today with a live look in Vatican City, where preparations for the conclave to find a new pope are setting up. Vatican firefighters installed the chimney outside the well-known chapel early this morning. That chimney will signal the election of Pope Francis's successor. After every 2 rounds of voting in the chapel, the ballots of the cardinals are burned in a special furnace to indicate the outcome to the outside world. The conclave to choose the next pope starts next Wednesday. Well, permanent metal detectors now up and running at Alexandria's West Potomac High School. It comes just 1 week after a stabbing in the school's hallway. A 15-year-old was charged after allegedly attacking a 16-year-old. That victim remains in the hospital but is expected to recover. Now to an update in the case of a man accused of being MS-13's leader on the East Coast. A federal judge now clearing the way for deportation. The judge dismissed criminal charges against Henry Villatoro Santos on Wednesday. The Trump administration now moving to have him deported to El Salvador immediately rather than standing trial and potentially spending years in prison in the U.S. The man in question was arrested during a raid on his home back in March. Switching gears to politics, well, a Fox 5 News alert, a big story for our region. President Trump now pulling the plug on federal funding for NPR and PBS. The president calling out public broadcasting, saying, quote, federal funding does not support bias in partisan news. Meanwhile, President Trump once again calling on the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates after a better than expected April jobs report, and that was released this morning. Joining us to discuss this and so much more, hey, she's back, Andrea Kaye from the Andrea Kaye Show right here on the Live Zone. Happy Friday and good to see you.
Happy Friday, Guy. I'm usually with you on a Thursday, so it's good to be with you on a Friday going into the weekend.
That's how I say we start the weekend right, and that's with you. Let's jump into it because, boy, do we have a lot to jump into. In this case, we're going to start off with NPR and PBS. The White House says government funding of the news media is outdated, unnecessary. As a result, those two agencies will be out of $500 million. So, Andrea, the question is, are we saying bye-bye to, let's say, Big Bird, let's say Cookie Monster, let's say Clifford? Are they going to the wayside?
Well, I hope we're saying bye-bye to indoctrination and propaganda paid for by the taxpayers. You know, it's absolutely outrageous when you saw there was an opportunity to hear the executives of PBS and NPR to make their case to the American people and the taxpayers who are paying that money. Many people can't afford rent, can't afford to feed their children, and yet they're funding propaganda where they denied the Hunter Biden laptop story. They continue to lie to the American people that there was absolutely no evidence that COVID started in a lab. They lied and said that they weren't pushing drag queens on children when they had content and towards third graders. Look, at this point, if they are, putting out good content, they should be able to raise money from private funds to put that out there, not have it paid by the taxpayers. My show is on terrestrial radio, and terrestrial radio, Guy, is one of the things most Americans end up having to rely on when it comes to emergencies, right? If there's an earthquake or hurricane or whatever.
Sure.
And we're not funded by the federal government. We're funded by advertisers and sponsors. Let that be the same with NPR and PBS.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how all of this plays out. I would suspect we will see budget cuts. Maybe Big Bird sticks around, but Cookie Monster, yet again, may have to go. We'll have to wait and see. Let's move on to China, which in essence said it's currently assessing proposals by the U.S. to begin trade talks. This comes after the exemption allowing Chinese goods to be shipped duty-free into the U.S. expired just after midnight. Are we going to see some progress here, Andrea?
Well, I think we've already seen progress, Guy. I mean, didn't China just a few days ago say, you know what, we're gonna back off that 145% retaliatory tariff on imports from the United States into China as their exports upon Trump's announcement tanked, their manufacturing tanked to the worst in a while. So that you don't have to be an economist to understand that tariffs actually work, which is why all the other governments around the world have imposed them on us. We've just been dumb enough to not do it in a reciprocal fashion. And so everybody is coming to the table. I personally don't like the way this was rolled out. It really wasn't rolled out in a reciprocal fashion. It was really more about trade deficits. But I think that you can see with countries like India coming to the table and agreeing to a framework, China backing off the retaliatory tariffs, I think we're going to see very soon all of this coming to a very successful conclusion for the American people as we see a return to manufacturing. Yeah. We've already seen Trump bring in first 100 days in office, Guy, $5 trillion of new investments in manufacturing and about 500,000 jobs coming to the United States because of Trump's tariffs.
Let's talk about good news no matter what side of the aisle you happen to be on. In this case, the U.S. economy added a surprisingly strong 177,000 jobs in the month of April. A slight slowdown from March, downwardly revised 185 gains, but still great news coming out of the White House, if you will.
Absolutely, which defies the common narrative of, there's so much uncertainty that no businesses are able to make any decisions. No businesses are able to hire. They're not going to be investing in R&D or investing in anything. And that's absolutely not the truth. And one of the things, and this is absolutely tied, by the way, to the tariffs, because one of the things that we have seen is the GDP, I don't want to get too wonky, but we did import a lot of supplies and things into the country in March and April. And what that was really about was a signal that companies were going to begin increasing in manufacturing and hiring more people. All the economic indicators at this point are strong for President Trump going forward on the economy.
You made mention of signals. In that case, we'll move on to what I dub Signal Gate. In this case, we know that President Trump has now removed Mike Waltz as National Security Advisor and announced his nomination as UN Ambassador in the first major staff change since the president took office during his second term. What happens now? Well, Secretary of State Marco Rubio will temporarily replace him with the top U.S. diplomat serving in, get this, not one, not two, not three, but 4 roles at once. Too much on his plate, Andrea?
Not really, because ultimately, when you see that Trump is working with, all of his cabinet and all of his agenda is intersecting and overlapping with all of the other agency and all the other departments. And look, I'm glad to see Mike Waltz go. I don't think it really had anything to do with Signal Chat, by the way. I really think it had to do with the fact that Mike Waltz was not the right fit for this position. He was really, the word is that he was really putting a lot of pressure on the Trump administration, like a neocon trying to push us into war with Iran. For me, from a leadership standpoint, I wanted him to go as soon as I found out that he made his deputy, Alex Wong, who was actually the person who brought Goldberg into the Signal Chat. And the problem for me with Alex Wong is that he's married to a woman who was persecuting, through prosecution, Jan 6 defendants and worked for Covington, one of the egregious law firms weaponizing our government against American citizens. He just was not the right fit for this position. Send him over to the UN.
Well, not only that, but I would say there's a lot of controversy surrounding him. Yet again, we now know that he was spotted using Signal on his cell phone during a cabinet meeting, out of all places.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the UN. We could take them out of the country, take the US out of the UN, kick them out of the country, and I'd be happy. So I'm not really that interested in the UN. Send him there. I'm not a fan of Mike Waltz. In fact, I didn't like the nomination in the first place. He needed to stay in Florida 6 in his congressional district. But send him to the UN and everybody saves a little face. Get off Signal, by the way. What are y'all doing?
Yeah, not only that, but I would say for the young folk, it's the equivalent of getting off TikTok, which you and I both know we don't have a problem with. Let's move back to the president, in this case, saying that his administration will be stripping Harvard University of its tax-exempt status. In an early Truth Social post, the president wrote, "It's what they deserve." Of course, President Trump froze more than $2 billion in federal funds to Harvard. What's going to happen with all of this?
Well, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful, but not, entirely optimistic that, Harvard has sued the Trump administration, that the Trump administration is going to win in court. What are we doing? They have a $50 billion endowment. This is an institution that has already lost after they were sued by Asian students for discrimination. So they're discriminating against Asian students. They're discriminating and terrorizing Jewish students on campus. They're indoctrinating far left, churning out little socialist soldiers for the state. They should never get a taxpayer dollar ever in the first place, and certainly not be receiving tax-exempt status. And I think that goes for Harvard and all the rest of the Ivies, and quite frankly, every college and university. Stand on your own.
All right, we'll end with this, and that is, we now know the president has suggested that Republicans in Congress should start to think about expelling not one but 2 House Democrats from the legislature who are pushing a 3rd impeachment vote against him. Is this the right thing for the president to do?
No, I say keep those nutbags, in the Democrat Party, particularly this Shree guy who nobody had ever heard of before he decided to be dopey and put out his 7 articles of impeachment. And now we know he's the guy who ran a lab that went bankrupt, and he abandoned hundreds of animals, like 130 beagles that he left for dead that had to be rescued. And the other guy is Al Green, who had to be kicked out of the joint session of Congress for waving around a cane. Leave him in the Democrats right alongside Bernie and AOC. It's good for us.
All right, we'll see how it, yet again, will all unfold right before our very eyes. Andrea Kaye joining us on a Friday. Folks that want to get a chance to listen to your radio show, how would they go about to do so?
AndreaKShow.com. Thanks for having me, Guy. Always fun.
Easy as 1, 2, 3. We love having you on. All right, guys. Well, D.C.'s financial footing remains stuck in limbo in Congress, with no plan from House GOP leadership to really put legislation that would allow the city's 2025 budget to remain intact. Now, D.C. Representative OWOLEWA is crying foul. He's now condemning the recent proposed budget rider that calls on the repeal of non-citizen resident voting in D.C. He joins us now right here on the Live Zone. Happy Friday, sir. Good to see you.
Absolutely. Good to see you too.
All right, let's jump right into this. For folks that are trying to wrap their head around all of this, we know that it's all about the riders surrounding the current $1.1 billion budget currently being held hostage by Congress. In layman's terms, explain what exactly that means.
Yes, right now we are seeing congressional extortion of all levels. You are seeing the House GOP really saying that we're not only going to take your locally raised funds in D.C., but we're also going to put conditions on you getting them back. So this is modern day extortion. They're holding our money hostage, and they're trying to tell us how to live our lives in exchange for our own money.
Which I found to be very interesting. I'm looking at my notes here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but one condition includes, yet again, repealing D.C.'s law allowing non-citizen residents from voting in local elections. Could that be?
Yeah, this is a huge issue. We're talking about visa holders, green card holders, folks who pay into Social Security without receiving them. Talking about those who can vote for mayor, State Board of Education, even our Attorney General, and even people who are actually serving as elected officials are now going to be threatened by this latest measure.
All right, so if you had it your way, what exactly would happen? How should all of this unfold?
Well, first of all, we cannot fall for these demands. We should not negotiate with these terrorists in office. We should not compromise our own values for the sake of getting our own money back. So we should all stand up. We should go on platforms like your own and really make sure that we're able to live the lives we want to. We saw Black Lives Matter Plaza get ripped up because of threats to our infrastructure funding, and we're seeing more of the same. So we need to rise up, stand up, and really fight for ourselves so those can see how they can fight with us.
Have you had any other conversations with any of your colleagues with regard to this matter, and if so, what's their plan of action?
Absolutely. Folks are going to the Capitol again. Folks are reaching out to Congress members from both sides of the aisle, where we appreciate the support we've gotten from other elected officials outside the district. But we also need to make sure that people in D.C. don't turn on each other. We're not trying to see native Washingtonians attack people who are immigrants, because our diversity is our strength.
All right. On a real quick note, and I want to ask you this, it's completely separate from what we're talking about, but while I got you, obviously RFK, the site of RFK will soon go to the wayside if several council members vote in favor of that. Are you opposed to, let's say, a new stadium being built right here in the nation's capital for the Commanders?
Well, I understand what it means for our culture. We're talking about bringing the Commanders back home, especially when they had their best season in about 30 years. However, we need to make sure we're smart with our investments. We need to make sure that when we talk about jobs being created, that we're also paying attention to the federal workers that were laid off. We're not expecting all those people to work at concession stands, and we need to make sure that our investment makes the most sense. We're talking about a new metro. We're talking about parking spaces. But I do want to see, all of our teams come back home. We want to make sure that price tag is fair for all D.C. residents.
I got to tell you, I'm a huge tailgater, and word is that may be limited. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way. As I always say,
hey, come to my backyard. We're not too far away. We can tailgate.
Good stuff. Might even be able to make a buck by selling that land, if you will. Yet again, we've been joined by Representative OWOLEWA, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Sir, always good to see you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Well, as you know, the legacy of explorer Christopher Columbus in the last couple of decades, well, it's been surrounded by controversy. President Trump has now stepped into the fray as more cities and states eliminate Columbus Day from the calendar or combine it with Indigenous Peoples Day. The president says, well, he's going to bring that great explorer back from the ashes. To talk about this and so much more is Mr. Andrea Dimino, the president of the Italian-American One Voice Coalition, back here on the Live Zone. Happy Friday, sir. Good to see you.
Thank you, Guy. Good to be back with you.
I know you have been patient for the past several days, and so we want to say thank you for doing just that. Can you start by telling us more about the Italian-American One Voice Coalition before we jump into Columbus Day?
Sure, we're a nationwide nonprofit specifically dedicated to defending Italian-American heritage and culture against stereotyping, and more recently in defending our iconic symbol of Christopher Columbus.
And with that being said, obviously Christopher Columbus has been catching a bad rap for quite some time, at least right here in America. We know that several states have actually gone to the wayside with regard to saying they are not going to celebrate Christopher Columbus Day and instead are now celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day. Your take on that?
Well, it's really unfortunate. There are 11 states and dozens of cities, towns, and school districts that eliminated Columbus Day, many of them in favor of Indigenous Peoples Day, as you say. But in reality, we want to celebrate with Indigenous people right along with them, but on their own day. Don't take away one holiday for another, and don't pit one group against another. We should look to unify people and look for unity and not division. And actually, to that end, Guy, we've actually made a relationship between our organization and the Native American Guardians Association, which is a nationwide Native American group, and they're out to preserve their names like the Redskins, the Chiefs, and so forth. And at the same time, they want to help us with the cancel culture that's going after Columbus Day. So we're supporting them and they're supporting us. We want to celebrate with Indigenous people on their own day and leave Christopher Columbus and Columbus Day alone.
Well, it appears President Trump is siding with you as well. I'm curious your take on the declaration of Mr. Christopher Columbus in the eyes of President Trump.
Well, Guy, we were absolutely thrilled when President Trump came out with that very definitive statement. He had supported him years ago in 2020, but now with this statement that he made this past Sunday, we're absolutely thrilled because there's no equivocation there. There's absolutely definitive that he supports Columbus Day in Columbus for Italian Americans and actually for all Americans because, Columbus united the continents and he brought the world together, which was one of the single largest events that occurred in human history. And, unfortunately, he's been maligned with all these falsehoods about him, which have been totally disputed by noted academics and authors. In fact, one author, Rafael Ortiz, is a person of indigenous heritage himself, and he wrote 4 books defending Columbus. So, I'm glad to see the president is making it very clear where he stands on Columbus.
Which leads me to my next question, and you just touched on it. What do you say to those who say, well, we've heard or we have now read that Mr. Christopher Columbus really isn't as innocent as he has been put forth with regard to what was done to the indigenous people that were here prior to his arrival?
Well, yeah, and of course, when Columbus got to this part of the world, there was no Garden of Eden, and we can't hold people of those times to today's standards. But specifically with regard to Columbus, most of these falsehoods came from Howard Zinn's book. Howard Zinn was a self-declared anarchist and Marxist who wanted to destroy our country by going after its underpinnings. And that's why he started with Columbus, but he also included the founding fathers with a whole set of false facts and innuendos and so forth. And his book has been disputed by people like Rafael Ortiz, Dr. Mary Graybar, and others that just showed that what he put in his book was not correct. Unfortunately, we've had generations now that have been brainwashed with this information, and they should check the facts from primary sources.
All right, Mr. Domino, we'll end with this, and that is, if you had it your way, what would you like to see moving forward with regard to Christopher Columbus Day?
Well, I'd like to see it go back to the way it was before, just like what President Trump said. Before, when I was in school and others, Columbus was revered, was respected, and Columbus Day was a major holiday across the country. By the way, it still is a federal holiday, and we don't want to see that change. So as far as we're concerned, we want to keep it the way it is. And, we welcome anyone that's interested in this to go to our website and check out more about it. Our website is our initials, iaovc.org, iaovc.org, and join with us in defending Columbus, not only for Italian Americans, but actually for all of America.
Yet again, we have been speaking with Mr. Andre Domino, president of the Italian American One Voice Coalition. Always good to see you, sir. Make it a great weekend.
Thank you. Same to you, Guy. Take care.
You got it. Well, if you're counting, it's hard to believe. Nearly a decade after the height of the Me Too movement, well, a new report out by the Associated Press now revealing the ongoing issue of sexual misconduct in state politics. Fox 5's Janae Addison now joining us with the details. Come on in, Janae. Obviously, it's hard to believe that it's been more than, dear God, 9 years, 10 years to be exact, since we really had all focus and all eyes on this subject.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to speak to, a lot of experts on this issue who say that it's not blue or red, it's simply an issue and advocates are calling for more reform.
And so with that being said, with regard to the reform, have we seen any movement? Personally, I can think of several stories where that's actually occurred, but I would argue some would say that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, so, there's been a ton of push from legislators to, change the ruling in terms of the bills that they have and things like that. But obviously, there's still a lot of work to be done. So more work needs to be done in terms of what advocates want to see.
Yeah, the key is that we need to continue to bring more awareness to this issue, and you're doing a great job of doing just that. Janae Addison joining us with all things surrounding the Me Too movement right here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. I believe we're going to take our first break of the day, and with that, you are watching the Live Zone. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Hey, it's the month of May, which means it's warm, which also means we're likely dealing with more insects. And as we hear from Fox 5's Krista Mayo, that could be an issue.
As more people head outside to enjoy the warmer weather, scientists are using the month of May to warn about the dangers of ticks, which can cause Lyme disease.
That's when we start seeing more activity and more risk for tick bites.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates nearly 500,000 people in the U.S. contract Lyme disease each year. The disease can be treated, but it can also lead to severe health effects if it goes unnoticed.
You can end up with heart problems, neurological disorders, symptoms that resemble arthritis.
While Lyme disease cases often spike in May, the National Institutes of Health say more people are starting to contract it even earlier because of warmer winters throughout the country.
We're seeing ticks move into new areas where they haven't been before, and we're seeing their activity periods really extend beyond what they have been in the past.
Health experts say there are simple ways to make sure you avoid ticks while outside.
We can wear long pants, long shirts. They can be light colored. That helps you see the tick better.
Repellents are also recommended to keep ticks away as long as they meet federal regulations.
The key here is using EPA-registered repellents. So EPA registration's right on the bottle, and it tells you that that repellent has been tested for efficacy.
Health experts also recommend doing a tick check after spending time outdoors and to properly remove a tick if you see one.
You don't want to go squeezing that tick where you may compress it or push pathogens that are in the tick into you. So you want to grab it as close to the skin as possible and pull out.
Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
Oh my gosh, bringing up so many memories of Boy Scout camp when I had to remove that tick. Fox 5 now staying on top of a devastating story for so many. That is, the owners of Six Flags America announcing they will be closing their amusement and water park at the end of the 2025 season. The 500-acre site has around 70 full-time employees, with people coming from all over to literally enjoy the mini rides. So now many, as you heard me state, crying foul. Among them, my next guest, Prince George's County Councilmember Walla Blagay, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Councilmember Blagay, always good to see you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Always good to see you.
All right, I hate to do it like this, but surprise, that's what happened with regard to so many of us with regard to Six Flags now going to the wayside. What are you making of all of this?
It was a complete surprise for us. We wanted people to know. Some people were saying, did you know this was coming? Is this about the fights? We knew nothing. I got a call at 4 p.m. yesterday from Six Flags representative letting us know and trying to get in touch with us. And honestly, we were a bit surprised. We meet with Six Flags, at least twice a year for updates, and they meet with the community. And at no point had there been any discussion about closure. So when people say, is this about the fights? Is this about the kids? We did not hear that. They said that they're trying to sell the land, and we do, although we are gravely disappointed, we do see this as an opportunity. This is 500 acres of land. It is not zoned for homes. I know we are constantly hearing people say that, oh, we don't want townhomes. We're letting people know it's not even zoned for that. So we are trying to get something that will replace that will bring the family-friendly environment that Six Flags brought, and also that is a good partner. We are meeting next week with Six Flags and developers and seeing what we can do next. I have brought in State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy, who we expect to be the next county executive, to talk about what we're going to do with this area. And so we are in strategy mode now. We will keep the residents informed about the future. We're going to have meetings in the next couple of months with the residents to tell them once we have more information, which is information gathering right now. This is a huge loss to the community, and I'm not downplaying that, but I want people to know that although we are sad about the loss, we will be optimistic about the future, because every hour we've been getting calls from people who are interested in building on this land. So at this point, we're just really trying to look at what's best for the community. So we do want to hear from the community, but we have the zoning that for entertainment and amusement and family-friendly park. And so we're going to start with that. And the future is bright. So we want people to be optimistic.
As you pointed out, it is what it is. It's a done deal, if you will. And so we have to move forward and to your point, be optimistic. Let me ask, and I know throughout my time here, several times there were reports of incidents taking place on that property at Six Flags, incidents in which several people were injured and or hurt, with a number of youth, let's say, fighting. With that being said, do you think that was that a part of the reason, if you will, as to why Six Flags, you think, decided to pull out?
That was not what Six Flags let us know. We did ask that, and they said that they had a change in leadership. There was a new company that bought them in the last couple of years, and they said after assessment, they decided that this was worth a sale and they could get a lot of money for it. Look, we can spend all day speculating about why they did this, but I'm not going to use my energy for that, because at this point, the future is where we are focusing.
Yeah, well, you have always focused on the children, based obviously in Prince George's County. We know a lot of children, teens, heck, myself, I would visit Six Flags on an annual basis throughout the summer. The question is, what are a number of those kids going to do now? Any suggestion with regard to programs perhaps that you all are going to put together so that they can utilize their time doing good?
And I'm going to be meeting with the council leadership about that. I mean, we do know that this is for the future, because the park is not closed until November. So really next summer is really where we need to come up with that. They have about 70 employees, and really a lot of our students use that as their summer job. So we really are trying to look to make sure that we fill in the gap of 70 employees, which is not easy at the time that they're laying off federal workers and the job market is getting tight here. But that means we've got work to do.
Yeah. All right. Well, we also know, as you stated, that it is not zoned for residential. Obviously, you made mention of potential other projects that could make their way into that area. Anything in particular you would like to see?
At this point, it's amusement park entertainment, and that's what we want to see. But we have to see, like I said before, I have to put my head together with the incoming county executive and her team to come up with what makes sense for this area, and what the proposition is. But I will say that those that are interested are saying that they want to at least hear from us our vision. And so, yeah, we're going to start with what is already there and go from there.
All right. Yet again, we have been speaking with Prince George's County Councilmember OWOLEWA, Guy, one of the first to speak out and speak up with regard to this issue. Truly appreciate your time. I know you were busy. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
All right. You have a good day.
Guys. We'll take a quick break, guys. We'll be right back. All right, guys, just like that, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone, joined with my guy, producer Chris, for my favorite segment of the week.
Favorite segment of the week because it's Friday.
Yep.
It has nothing to do with the segment. It's just the sheer fact that it's Friday. Listen, we've talked a lot about the box office. I know I usually focus on streaming, but we've talked about the box office. It hasn't been a great year. Sinners could be what changes things for Hollywood, though, because it is currently crushing it at the box office. This weekend could be another shot in the arm for the old box office, though, because we've got Marvel's Thunderbolts hitting the big screen today. This is like the 30-something movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is a team of Marvel misfits, including, you see them right there, Bucky Barnes, Yelena, John Walker, a.k.a. the other Captain America that didn't quite work out, Red Guardian, all of them coming together to, let's just say, battle a threat. This one also features Bethesda's own Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who has made some appearances in some of the series so far, but now making the big screen debut in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You can catch this one in theaters now. Probably going to be a box office hit. If it lives up to some of the previous Marvel movies, which, you know, they kind of have been coming down when it comes to box office numbers, but I think it will still be a box office hit.
Can I say something about that real quick? I don't follow these movies, but I was getting a haircut yesterday and I asked my barber, I said, so I don't understand. I thought this guy was Captain America. So apparently there's different universes and they bring them all. Now I'm all in.
Correct. However, I will just, not to get too into the weeds about it, in the Avengers Endgame, the movie's like 10 years old, not a spoiler, Captain America ends up going back in time, living out his life. He is now aged out. So the government decides to replace him. He passed the shield to Sam, a.k.a. Falcon. That's who he wanted to take over. The government had different plans. They wanted their own guy to take over. However, he didn't necessarily live up to the values and ideals that you might expect from Captain America, and then that's when Sam kind of swooped in, Pun intended. Yeah, I know. This all took place in The Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is one of those series, and that's when I started kind of falling behind. So I still have a little catching up to do before I can see this one. Okay, so that will probably, between that and Sinners, rule the box office. Also out this weekend, though, we have The Surfer. This is a new Nicolas Cage movie in theaters now. I only mention it because it's got Nicolas Cage in it. And I love him. I love him so much. You've got to check out Kevin's interview. It ran in Good Day at 10 today. You can catch it over on Fox Local. We also have finally hitting theaters. This one, a little dramatic. Rust. Now, you remember this is the one that ended with the director of photography's death.
Oh, yeah.
When Alec Baldwin's gun ended up going off while they were filming it. Now, this is going to be in theaters and also available on demand. There's going to be a morbid curiosity from people to see this movie. Do you need to feel guilty if you want to see it? The one thing I can tell you is all of the proceeds from the theatrical release will go to the family of the woman who was shot and killed on the set. The producers will not make a dime off of this movie. It will all go to her family. So if you're interested or just a fan, you can go check out this movie in theaters and on demand now.
You know what else would be interesting that they could probably make even more money? The behind the scenes shooting, the day in which it actually happened, what scene was shot prior to that.
So much interest in this story ever since it broke several years ago. The case against Alec Baldwin had been thrown out, charges were refiled. It's still working its way through the court system. So those are the movies that are in theaters right now. Now, if you'd rather stay home, it's beautiful out, but if you'd rather stay home, we do have some new streaming options. Not as many as usual, but we're going to start off with the Four Seasons. We're in spring. Summer is rapidly approaching, and that's what this is about, not the hotel. The Four Seasons referring to the seasons of the year because it follows three couples who go on a trip once every season. Stars Tina Fey, Will Forte, who you also know from SNL, a reunion for them. Also a reunion with their friend Steve Carell, who starred in the movie Date Night with Tina Fey. Also, two-time Oscar nominee and friend of Fox 5 at this point, Coleman Domingo. So three couples take a trip once every 4 seasons. Good friends. However, one of them, who shall remain nameless, Trouble in Paradise, decides he wants to divorce his wife, and that throws the whole group into chaos. This is a mini-series, 8 episodes, but it's based on an old movie from 1981, written and directed by Alan Alda. Tina Fey also executive producing it. Mixed reviews from what I've seen so far. Some people say it's a little slow. Some people love it. So this is a rom-com. You can check it out. Netflix now.
Oh, all right. Good stuff.
So that's one of your new streaming options. That's a series. The other one is a movie, and this is another reunion because it is a sequel to A Simple Favor. This is another Simple Favor. If you haven't seen this one, it's Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively. Blake Lively was a neighbor who comes to Anna Kendrick's character, says she needs a favor, gets wrapped up in seemingly a murder mystery. This one reunites the cast, Anna Kendrick, Blake Lively, Henry Golding, Andrew Rannells, and the director Paul Feig. 2018, the original came out. It's a highly stylistic mystery / black comedy. New one's out now, streaming on Prime Video. Similarly, mixed reviews. This time, though, it's set in Italy.
Oh, wow.
It's set in Italy. Blake Lively's character is supposed to be getting married. She invites, and I don't want to spoil the first one just in case people haven't seen it and they want to go back and watch it, but let's just say the first one ends with the two of them not necessarily having many reasons to be friends.
Got it.
So then when they reunite and one asks the other to be her maid of honor, comes as quite a shock. Let's just put it that way. Streaming on Prime Video now. Okay, so now let's talk about what else is out there. On Peacock, we have a movie called Black Bag. This was in theaters earlier this year, and it bombed, completely underperformed. However, critics say it is well worth your time.
Really?
It is a spy thriller. It stars Michael Fassbender, and it's from Steven Soderbergh, who you know from the Ocean's trilogy.
Wow.
Another one might do better streaming than it did in the theaters. People might not have been willing to go see it, but they might watch it at home.
Wonder why.
Peacock premiere this weekend. I think it's an original movie, and original movies have, besides Sinners, have not done very well at the theater this year. Doesn't necessarily mean they're bad movies. It's just maybe a timing thing. We'll have to wait and see, but you can check it out now. Netflix on Sunday, another one I'm pretty excited about. the Conan O'Brien Mark Twain Prize that took place at the Kennedy Center back in March. Netflix filmed it, and now they're finally going to release it. This is a star-studded salute to the late night host, now podcaster with Team Coco, John Mulaney, many, many more. You can check that one out, like I said, on Netflix.
Kudos
on
going
Sunday.
out to Netflix. They just did that. I mean, I
March
remember we
23rd
covered
is
that.
when that actually done, and now they taped it and turned it. I will tell you, I got to go to the Mark Twain salute to Jay Leno.
Okay.
And that still was one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to do. Some of the biggest names in comedy there. And listen, I was always a Letterman guy, to be honest with you. I wasn't the biggest fan of Jay Leno, but Jerry Seinfeld, Jimmy Fallon, just a who's who. Wanda Sykes, who's who of big names in comedy there to pay tribute to one of their own. And Conan has, listen, I have looked up to Conan O'Brien for my entire life, basically, from The Simpsons to Saturday Night Live to his own show, a show that he had no business hosting. This was a behind-the-scenes guy, a very talented writer who made a career for himself in front of the cameras inexplicably. You can see why I look up to him a little bit.
Yeah, kind of sounds like this guy.
Feel the same way about Tina Fey. I have in my head, you know, I love the tracks of their careers, so I'm really looking forward to
watch
checking
that.
this
I'm
one
excited
out.
to see that, especially being that it's based right here in
It's based
DC.
right here in DC, exactly.
So, good stuff. All right. Well, man, yet again, you know what I'm going to say.
Even on the off weeks, there's still so much fun stuff to check out.
All right. Producer Chris with all things for you to watch right here on the Live Zone. Surely appreciate you. Oh, by the way, I'll see you tomorrow.
I
We'll
will
both
see
be
you
at
tomorrow.
the
That's
Gold
right.
Cup.
You know what? I am not going to take a picture with you, though, because you were going to be dressed to the nines. I know it. I know he's going to be so fancy. I'm going to try to do my best to live up.
You and Tucker, no, we'll all three. We'll
That's
take a
right.
picture.
We'll get one.
All right, guys. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone, we're taking a live look in Vatican City, where preparations for the conclave to find a new pope are now setting up. Let's get more from news correspondent Alex Hogan from London.
This chimney will capture the world's attention starting next Wednesday. Vatican firefighters installed the pipe on the roof of the Sistine Chapel Friday morning. It will be used to send out the famous smoke signals, black for a deadlocked vote, white for the election of a new pope. It's part of the final preparations for the conclave that will see 133 cardinals sequestered in the Sistine Chapel until they choose a successor to Pope Francis.
Cardinals cannot take their phones, their computers, radios, any electronic things cannot go into the conclave. They are to be totally cut off.
But there are still a few last-minute arrangements to be made, including clothing for the new pontiff. Vatican officials haven't placed those orders yet, so tailor shops that usually service the popes are taking it on themselves to create robes, sashes, and cassocks.
I am doing this on my own to be able to present these cassocks for the next pope without knowing who he will be. But we're making 3 different sizes so they will fit anyone.
Meanwhile, cardinals met for their 9th congregation on Friday. Many have said they'd like to see another pope like Francis, but others are stressing unity and waiting for divine inspiration.
I don't know anything because I'm expecting the Holy Spirit to illuminate me and tell me something. The Pope has to ensure the unity of all the church. This is first and foremost. Everything else comes after.
Several cardinals have said they expect this conclave to last between 2 and 3 days. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
Obviously, we will have continuous coverage right here on Fox 5. Well, after months' anticipation, yes, it's finally here. I'm referring to the Wine Spectators Grand Tour. It's finally made its way right here to the nation's capital. Come take part as guests will enjoy, get this, an evening of over 200 exceptional wines, along with conversations with winemakers and a delicious selection of food. It's all set to get underway today, this evening. Joining us to tell us all about it is Miss Allison Napias, Wine Spectator Senior Editor and Tasting Director, kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Allison, good to see you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Nice to see you too.
I got to tell you, I am so excited about this. You all just wrapped up in Chicago, packed up all the bags, and then made your way right here to the nation's capital for the Wine Spectators Grand Tour. We're talking wine, and yet again, more wine. Do tell.
More wine. Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about really one of the best wine tastings you're going to find in terms of diversity, in terms of high quality. Every wine that's poured there, we've got over 230 actually, so even more than the 200 you mentioned, has been rated 90 points or higher in our blind tastings at Wine Spectator. And actually 90 points is just the beginning. We're talking about 93, 94, up to 97 points.
Wow.
And the thing that really separates this for me is that you've got so much diversity. Over 13 countries, wines from over 13 countries, more than 24 specific wine regions. And as you said, a lot of times you've got the winemakers there. So really a great opportunity to talk to the people who are making the wines or the people who own the wineries.
I am truly impressed with regard to what you all do. I want to put this in perspective. Each year, you all taste more than 15,000 wines. Oh, by the way, blind taste, I should add. You then choose the top 100 wines based upon quality, price point, availability, and the X factor. Please elaborate.
Well, the top 100 is one of our favorite times of year. We're looking at all of those wines that we've tasted. We start off with wines, again, that are 90 points or higher. There's the quality. We're looking for the stories behind the wines, but we also want the wines to be accessible, so not too expensive and out there in the U.S. marketplace. And I'm glad you mentioned it because actually at tonight's Grand Tour, we do have the #1 wine of 2024 will be poured. It's from Chile, Don Melchor Cabernet Sauvignon 2021. So if you're a wine lover and you're going tonight, make sure you get a taste of that along with all the wonderful wines that we have to offer.
Oh my gosh, I'm sitting here just in amazement, in awe. I cannot believe this is actually happening right here in the nation's capital. Yet again, and we both touched on this, but this annual event not only really gives us a chance to taste the wines, but also to meet the people behind the wines. And for me, that's key. I want to hear the history, the story behind the amazing wine that I'm drinking.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, of course, wine it's very important to start tasting, but then it should be a conversation. And that could be with your fellow attendees. It could be with the winemaker, it could be with the winery owner. You know, you want to talk about how you're enjoying it, what you like more, what you like better, and then kind of start to form your own taste preferences so that you can go out to the restaurant the next time, to a retailer, and find something similar.
Yeah, I'm curious, the state of wine, if you will, in this day and age. We know obviously so many folks are focusing on, let's say, the spirits and or dare I say beer. But in this case, I'm curious your take on wine and how it's being marketed throughout the world.
I mean, to me, wine is a very important cultural connection. For my work at Wine Spectator, I cover wines from France, from Italy, from Spain, where wine and food is really tightly tied together. And I think there's a place for wine at the table and for keeping social connections. So, I mean, I think you can find that with beer and spirits as well. But of course, I'm going to promote wine as the #1 way to enjoy something special with somebody else.
Hey, Allison, just between you and I'm going with the wine as well. So look, I think we
All
should let our
right.
viewers know that. Not only that, but this afternoon or later this evening, I should make mention that you can have the wine, but yes, it will be complemented with some amazing food.
That's correct. Yeah, we have a wonderful spread there. Of course, we want people to enjoy tasting the wine, but when you're talking about 230, you're not going to get to all of them, and you shouldn't be drinking all of them. We do recommend spitting, sorry, but also have some good food there. We have a lovely spread of charcuterie, cheeses, and also some more substantial kind of pasta and meat dishes. So really, it can be a whole evening.
Yet again, all set to get underway beginning at 6 p.m. at the Ronald Reagan Building. You see it right there on your TV screen. VIP hour starts at 6 o'clock. Tickets are still available. Is that the case, Allison?
That's correct. You can go online to grandtour.winespectator.com, and we will also be selling some tickets at the door.
Yet again, this is absolutely amazing. Yes, we know it as the Wine Spectators Grand Tour, and it has officially landed right here in the nation's capital. I truly enjoyed this segment, Allison. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. See you tonight.
We'll see you tonight. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. It is now the top of the hour. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on a Feel Good Friday. Speaking of hanging out, Mr. Celebrity Extraordinaire himself, media personality Al Reynolds, going to join us in just a second. In the meantime, hey, it gets even bigger and even better. Poet Taylor, WPGC Midday Shenanigans, joining us for a little celebrity dish. Hi, Poet. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I'm in here doing adjustments. I didn't know it was.
It's okay. I mean, that's what the viewers want to see, Poet. You know, I can't tell you how many times I'm out and about and they say, Guy, we love how when someone's holding the camera and then it falls down, i.e. me, and then they see me pick it up and you're like, hey, you really did that. Yeah, it's live TV. That's what happens on live TV, folks, and that's why they watch. We keep it real right here on the LZ. You ready?
Ready. I'm ready to go.
All right, cool.
This.
Al Reynolds is going to join us in just a second. Yet again, live TV. It's a whole story. We'll get to it. Hey, let's kick it off with a family affair, Poet. In this case, we're talking about Beyonce's latest show. Joining the entertainer on stage, her mom, Blue Ivy, and Rumi all made an appearance. It was a special girls' night for the matriarch of the family, Miss Tina Knowles. Yes, Beyonce and her two daughters, well, recognizing her mom's new book entitled The Matriarch on the second night of her LA show at SoFi Stadium. It's now topping the bestsellers list. How cool is this, Poet?
I absolutely love that we are watching Tina Knowles' show, that you can do it all however you want to get it done and in your own time. And the book thus far, bomb. A lot of gems in there. And a lot of us don't necessarily get to celebrate with all of our generations. So as we get closer to Mother's Day, may we think of ways that we can celebrate all the generations in our family while we have them here to celebrate together. I absolutely love this. You know, Beyonce get a lot of flack. So I like that all the Beyonce talk has been really good this week, and now her mother gets to be a part of it.
Yeah, 3 generations there, Poet. Like you said, you got Grandma, well, probably doesn't want to be called Grandma, but you have Miss Knowles, as we say, the Queen, Beyonce, and then her 2 daughters. It's just so cool to see all of them come together. And yet again, to your point, it's something that we can all look up to.
Be excited about. And while you're watching me and Guy, call your mother once we wrap the live zone out and be like, I love you. And I'm glad you brought me here because I wouldn't have this without you. Yes.
All right, let's move on to, well, I guess something more controversial. In this case, Mr. Nick Cannon back in the hot seat. Yes, one of the women he had a child with says he needs to come see his kids, Poet. She posted in her IG stories that Nick hasn't seen their daughter in over 1 month. And the post was dripping with sarcasm as she commented on a story about Nick making sure that he insured his private parts. She even included the famous SMH acronym. What are you thinking about all of this?
We play stupid games. We win stupid prizes. You know how many kids he had. We know he cannot be everywhere at once. And I feel like at some point you got to take responsibility for the bed that you made. And is this going to make him spend time with your kid? Do people think about what their kids are going to think when they see these things? Because what you post on the internet is forever. That's not a phone call. You couldn't have just made a call or not been bothered and kept moving about it. And if you want to come, and it's not, don't. But this idea of I'm going to shame you or I'm going to try to slander you to make you do something for me has never worked and it won't start now.
Yeah.
And accountability and responsibility is a real life thing.
Yeah, I think what you're saying, and well, at least what I'm saying, and I think we both are in agreement, that is that fault lies on both parties, if you will. I mean, she shouldn't have really aired the dirty laundry, but yet again, hey, dude, you got to see your kid, you know? I mean, you got to be a good dad in this case, at least if you plan to continue to make them. You would think that that's what, well, would be before him. Maybe not.
My thing is, she can post this, but we don't know if he don't come around. We also know there's situations when I can't have the other parent, then I smear them as not being a good parent because what I really want is you and it's less about the kid. You know what I mean? So a lot of times I'm going to take the stance of they're always one side, this side, and then the actual truth. And I just don't feel like if it's really about your baby bonding and seeing their father, that this is where you put it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's been over a month. That man got 18 jobs to support 25 kids. So, I mean, there might be some time between when he's seeing, but I don't know, Guy. In this world of shade and things that people do, things like this always make me second guess the real intent behind them.
Yeah. Well, you saw me just, in essence, go on the attack, but I'll have an about face here as well, and that is, at the same time, we don't know his schedule. I mean, I have known of a number of regular folk that, let's say, have to travel for their job for over a month, and they, too, perhaps don't see their children during that time. Not making any excuses, but we don't know that man's schedule, and quite honestly, don't know, to your point, how often he is keeping in contact with his child.
Hey, guys, we should run the world. That's what we came up with.
There was a pause there, Poet. I thought perhaps he disagreed, but hey, I guess can't we all get along? In this case, with you and I, that's the case. Hey, let's move on to Mr. Tom Cruise, apparently revealing how he's able to get past the death-defying Mission Impossible stunts. You know what he says, Poet? A massive breakfast. In the 8th and potentially last installment of the Mission Impossible franchise, Tom clings to the wing of an airplane before he hoists himself up and crawls along the wing of the plane. Now, in order to prepare for that stunt, the 62-year-old, dear God, did I say that? 62-year-old says he ate sausage and almost 1 dozen eggs. Hey, can't forget about your favorite, the bacon, Poet. Tom added that he also drank tons of coffee and fluids ahead of filming. I already know before I even ask you, you're still stuck on the bacon.
You know, I'm sitting here thinking, is he going to shout out his stunt double or his stunt man? Because I'm sure you're doing some things, Tom Cruise, with your cute self. But, baby, not blaming a breakfast of non-champions on how you get to do these stunts. People don't be honest.
I get it. So, Poet, now you and I, we both wake up early. We both have, we do things. I have a morning show. You're doing your midday show right now, and we know that obviously it takes a lot of work in order to do so. It's different when I eat breakfast. I think I perform a little bit better, especially when I have the coffee.
I drink coffee, 2 cups of coffee, and then I don't really eat until 2 in the afternoon. A nutritionist hates it, but we are where we are. But we also know a meal that big is also going to give you the itis. So how many flips and stunts with all of that? Now, you talking about a breakfast sandwich and a cup of coffee. He's talking about brunch for 6 with 1 person.
Yeah, I'm still stuck on the dozen eggs part. I believe that's what I read. But yeah, a dozen eggs. Not only because he's eating a dozen eggs, but how expensive they happen to be this day and age. But if you're Tom Cruise, I guess that's just nothing.
Well, people problems, it's that. I'm eating a dozen eggs a day.
Yeah, it's a weird story, and I knew you would like it, so I figured we'd share it with the world. Let's end with this, Poet. In this case, we are 3 days, just count them, yes, 3 days away until the Met Gala. The massive fashion event is known for bringing together A-list stars, and this year's event, well, it's no different. According to Page 6, Madonna, Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross will all be attending. Lauryn Hill will also reportedly be in attendance after receiving an invite from the co-chair, Pharrell Williams. This is going to be star-studded, Poet.
Going to be amazing. I love that while people are celebrating the Met Gala, we're also learning about how dandyism became to be, especially Black dandyism. And you can rock it however you want to. I already have my suit ready. And if you don't know how to rock fashion, true story, this is one of my favorite bathing suits. And today, I'm wearing it as a shirt.
Wow. Is that what you're doing?
What you make.
That is awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well, Poet, I have a feeling we're going to see you on the red carpet there sometime in the near future.
Of course you will. Yes.
What I absolutely love about this event is that, and I say this time and time again, and it's just with regard to fashion, it's whatever you make it. However, in this case, you can go to the extreme, and that's what I love the most.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. Maybe you need to have me on Tuesday so we can talk about who did it right, who did it all right, and who did it wrong or wrong their way. I don't know, but I'm here for it. But go get dressed up. Yes.
Well, we're here for you, Poet. I know you got to go. You got a minute left. In that case, what are you working on?
Youth Mental Health Conference tomorrow, Kentland Community Center. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'll be hyper-focused on our teens and our tweens all month long. Absolutely free. Pull up, kicks off at 12 noon. Gift cards, good times, activations, panels. We can't just talk about mental wellness. I want to make sure our village babies have the tools to really heal and be set up for success. Mentally, physically, emotionally, all of that. So details, IG stories at Just Curious Pub.
Absolutely love it. It is now 1:09. Poet said, Guy, I have to go because I have to be on the radio at 1:10. So you can continue to watch me. Turn on your radio. In less than 1 minute, you'll hear Poet on WPGC 95.5. Truly love you, Poet. Thank you so much for coming on the
Love
live.
you guys. May your weekend be as beautiful as I am. I know hard, but let it happen.
All right, guys. We'll take a quick break and be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, it's that time of the year again. Time for the KAPPA Derby, the premier Derby-inspired day party for the DMV, featuring elegant VIP tents, 2 celebrity DJs, celebrity hosts, cash bar, live coverage of the 151st Kentucky Derby, and shall I say, just plenty of fun. Joining us to discuss this and so much more is Mr. Mark Ellington, past poll mark of the College Park Sandy Spring alumni of Kappa Alpha Psi, and Mr. Tony Heath, event chairman, both of which kind enough to join me live from Hennessy Creek, where this event is taking place, and they're right here on the LZ. Gentlemen, good to see you and welcome to the show.
Hey, good afternoon, Guy.
I got to tell you,
Thanks, brother.
I am just so excited about this. You heard me make mention of the Kentucky Derby. Obviously, that's happening tomorrow, but let's just keep it real. Who cares? You can actually come and celebrate with you guys in a major way. It's dubbed the KAPPA Derby. You heard me touch on it, but for folks that are hearing about it for the first time, which I don't know how that could be, do tell. Mark, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thanks, Guy. Yeah, KAPPA Derby. This is actually our third year hosting the KAPPA Derby. We're out here at beautiful Hennessy Creek in Brandywine, Maryland. And we started this purely to raise money for our community programs, for the mentoring programs that we do with young Black males. And it's been really, really an exciting time for us. And it's, like you said, Guy, it's fun. We're able to party with a purpose, and we're able to get out with all of our friends, and we dress up, and like Tony's got a hat on, and everybody's gonna have their colors on, and just have a really good time. We've got special guests, like you said, with Raheem DeVaughn. We're doing something special this year, Guy. We're doing an R&B edition. So everybody loves R&B, so we're taking it back to the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, you know, all the songs, Cassette Michelle, all the way back to Maze and Mary J. And everybody's gonna just sing along. We're gonna have the largest sing along. But the best part is that Raheem DeVaughn is our host. And then our MC is none other than Joe Claire, the comedian extraordinaire, the funny guy. If you've been in his shows, you've been to KAPPA Derby, he's been our host last year, he will keep you in stitches. So a lot of great times. A great DJ out of LA, DJ MOS. He's actually went to University of Maryland. He's a good new KAPPA brother, but he's now the Grammys DJ, Golden Globes DJ. He's very much a celebrity DJ, and he's flying in today so that he could be here tomorrow. So really excited about what we're doing.
Yeah, this is one of the premier events that happens to take place right here in this area. You made mention of Fox 5's own contributor, Joe Claire. You know, my man 50 Grand, truly funny. And then you add Raheem DeVaughn. That's what I call a home run. Tony, obviously this has been happening for quite some time, as you heard Mark make mention of. And he also touched on, yes, it's a party, but it's a party with a purpose. And that's what I want to focus on at this point. It's really a way that you all raise money to then really help underprivileged youth. It doesn't get any better than that.
With party with a purpose, it really doesn't. And so if you can fit the best of both worlds, right, having a good time, but also providing money for underprivileged children to go to college, scholarships, being able to be afforded opportunities they otherwise wouldn't have. It's no better way to do it. It's sunny. It's going to be beautiful, 80-something degrees tomorrow. What better to come here? If you're part of D9, great. But if you're not, it's still an event for you. And you can have fun and knowing that your money is going to be going towards some young kid that maybe didn't get the opportunity due to financial circumstances. So we're really excited about it. And it's something that we're going to be doing every year, year after year, and year after year as it continues to grow.
Yeah, we're going to focus on the ticket aspect in just a second, meaning you need to get your tickets now. I was there last year. I actually had the opportunity. You all were kind enough to let me co-host, and it was somewhat of a rain out. With that being said, it was still filled. So I can only imagine
and
how
everybody
many people
had a great time.
Yeah, I can only imagine how many people are going to show up tomorrow with the amazing weather that we are yet again expecting. Mark, I want you to move to the side there because I want folks to be able to see what I can see behind you, and that happens to be all the tents. Now, stay close to the camera so I can talk to you, but describe what we're looking at, all those tents that happen to be right there behind you. Is that where the folks are going to be hanging out at?
So yeah, we have a beautiful setup every year in Hennessy Creek. So the big metal ensemble that you see here is new for KAPPA Derby this year. We have a KAPPA cabana. So that's actually going to be raised up 20 feet with decorations and such. So it's going to be a covered area. Tony said it's going to be 80-something degrees. So that'll be a place where people can stay out of the sun and have some areas to hang out, eat food, have drinks. And then those tents there are private tents. So people buy tables and tents. They're all sold out this year, thank God. But those are the private tents that people have purchased to go into the KAPPA Derby. And then the tent right behind me that way is the VIP tent. We have a large 40 by 120 VIP tent with catered food and seating and private bars. So those are the different tents we have, the open space. The DJ and Raheem will be there in the middle of those tents in the front there. And Joe Claire, we've called that the Joe Claire Copacabana. So Joe Claire is going to be wandering around there making jokes and messing with people. And we've even put a special discount out for that. So yeah, we're excited about like how we set this up to make sure that every year gets better and better.
Two things. One, I don't think I've ever seen a better shot than that with regard that backdrop that you have behind you. And two, if this, let's say, chairman thing or whatever you're doing for this doesn't work out for you, you're a great correspondent. We love to have you work for us right here on the Live Zone. Tony, real quick, obviously when you think of the Kentucky Derby, in this case the KAPPA Derby, we think about clothes, and clothes galore. And I see you're rocking your hat there, but what would you encourage folks to wear tomorrow?
Look, wear your best. Wear your derby best. Get your fascinators. Get your hats. Get your seersuckers. Whatever it is, short sets if you have, if you will. But come dressed to impress. We actually have a best dress contest for couples as well as individuals, male and female. It's just a lot of fun, and it's another reason why to get dressed. I know in the DMV, we like to show our personalities within our clothes. This is a way to do it, and so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, yet again, all set to take place tomorrow. It's the KAPPA Derby. Folks that want to buy tickets, you see it right there on your screen. That's the way to do so, featuring our very own Joe Claire and, as they call him, the Love King, Mr. Raheem Devon. Mark, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, just real quick. I really appreciate you people coming out and joining us. We actually, because of the hit of We're the Fans, the Boot Stomp song, we actually made special fans and parasols that came out of the sun that are KAPPA Derby limited editions, KAPPA Derby limited edition cigars. So when you come out, you're gonna have a great time, and we want to. There's a fan, and you're gonna be able to pop your fan and stomp your boots and wear some boots if you want. And we're just gonna have a really good time. And the last thing is, we do have a code for Joe Claire. You know, your good friend, our good friend. It's KD Joe Claire, KD Joe Claire, and they get a 10% discount today.
Absolutely love it. Mark, Tony, good to see you guys. Congratulations.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you having us.
You're welcome. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. It is finally here. Do you hear the excitement in my voice? Yes, Maryland Public Television officially debuted its one-of-a-kind shot-from-the-air documentary, Maryland by Air. Within the documentary, you get a chance to see shots from helicopters, drones in the cockpit of a 1940s-era biplane. The film's aerial footage highlights the natural wonders of the Free State. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Mr. Stephen Shupak, Executive VP and Station Manager, and he's kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Stephen, good to see you, sir, and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Glad to be here.
I got to tell you, we were trying to get you on yesterday, but obviously a lot going on, so thank you for being patient. Now, let's talk about this. This is amazing. I am one of the biggest fans of this series, if you will. I think I've watched any and every one that, well, it's been released, and now, finally, I get a chance to find out all about Maryland. Do tell.
Yeah, it's the biggest of all. We've done Chesapeake Bay by air. That was like 3 days of shooting. The Potomac by air, but doing the entire state took 14 months of shooting. We wanted all 4 seasons. We wanted those great fall and autumn shots. We wanted the winter scenes and also springtime and summer. So we had to fly over the whole state. It took 14 months.
Wow.
And months of negotiation to fly over the stadiums, Orioles and Ravens. We went out with the hang gliders here. We had a great time. We were down a bunch of rivers, the Chesapeake Bay. We were skiing. And it's okay that you missed an interview yesterday because it's going to be playing in IMAX for 10 years at the Maryland Science Center. And of course, we'll play it a bunch of times on MPT.
Stephen, I got to ask you, did you get a chance to fly on the hang glider there, or was that someone else?
My wife would kill me. But,
I'm sure she would. We want you around here a little bit longer, sir. So,
oh, yeah.
With regard to the film itself and how you were able to put it all together, I think about how big of a state Maryland happens to be, and so many folks overlook so many important parts of that state. Wouldn't you agree?
It's true, because a lot of our state is water, and we are very connected by the Chesapeake Bay area and region, and the bay is a soulful connection to all of us here. Oh, great pictures you're showing now. When we fly over the water, it gives everyone a privileged view. When you get up in the sky, normally we see things through a tiny little window on an airplane. You get to feel like you're the pilot. This shot here, we end up flying with the birds. It's just lovely.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is narrated by, dare I say, the one and only Cal Ripken Jr.?
I think it's his first ever narration gig for a documentary film like this. He did a fantastic job. He said he was mesmerized by the film, and he ended up having to come in 2 different times because he didn't want to rush through. He really wanted to give it his all. He's a professional at what he did in baseball, and he translates that right into being a narrator.
Yeah, I would assume that, I'm not sure if you have children, sir, but I would assume this is your most recent baby. And with that being said, it's probably hard to really distinguish. But with regard to the film, what you took away, what was the biggest thing that really resonated with you when it comes to all things Maryland?
Well, I heard this from a lot of people as well. I live here in Maryland so many years, some people their whole lives, and they've never seen a lot of what we show in the film. And they said, I need to go visit Western Maryland and the mountains. I need to spend more time on the Bay. It gave them a unique perspective and a number of facts and figures that they might not have known. It's kind of history light. It just gives you enough to keep you interested. But I think the whole breadth of what you see is really impressive. It leaves you sort of changed as you get this unique perspective.
Yeah. Yet again, I am so excited. I cannot wait to watch this. Folks that want to find out more information or want to do what I want to do, and that is watch it, how would one go about to do so, Stephen?
Well, we'll be playing it a lot on MPT for sure. And of course, the Science Center, you can get tickets down there in IMAX, which is a great, wonderful experience. But also we're streaming MPT at the PBS app. So anytime it's on MPT, if you prefer to stream, it's there for free. If you have the premium service called Passport, you can watch it on demand anytime. But some of the background pieces are also available. The making of, for example, the behind the scenes footage, that's kind of cool. That's all free and available on the PBS app that localizes to MPT when you click on MPT.
Good stuff. Yet again, we have been speaking with Mr. Stephen Shupak, Executive Vice President and Station Manager, kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Truly appreciate you, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, well, nearly a decade after the height of the Me Too movement, well, a new report out by the Associated Press now revealing the ongoing issue of sexual misconduct in state politics. Fox 5's Janae Addison has the details.
A lot of magnificent women, many of whom are right here in this room tonight, and some pretty phenomenal men fighting hard to make sure that they become the leaders who take us to the time when nobody ever has to say, "Me too," again. Thank you.
It's been 8 years since a two-word hashtag turned into a global fight against sexual harassment. Now, a new study by the Associated Press finds the issue is still rampant within the world of politics. According to the report, at least 147 lawmakers across 44 states have been accused of sexual misconduct. And in 2024 alone, at least 14 politicians from a dozen states have faced allegations, double the amount from the previous year.
The AP came out with an updated report, and then National Women's Defense League came out with our updated report. And what we have found is that there is a systemic issue of sexual harassment occurring in all 50 states. Our latest numbers show that 49% of those accused of sexual harassment are Democrats, 51% are Republicans, so it's right down the middle.
Following the widespread attention of the Me Too movement in 2017, several legislative chambers have since implemented policies aimed at preventing sexual misconduct. These changes include mandatory training sessions for lawmakers and clear reporting procedures for victims.
Right now in 2025, we're currently tracking over 100 pieces of legislation that would impact sexual harassment in politics or in the workplace in some manner. So that for us says that not only is there a recognition of the problem, but there are some very real efforts to try and address it.
However, despite the progress made, significant challenges remain. Experts say continued reform is essential to create a safer political landscape for all.
What the Me Too movement did for politics was really give language to experiences that predominantly women have known we have had throughout our whole political careers. When we share our stories, it really gives power to others to ask for change and much needed accountability.
Great report. Janae Addison now joining us live in studio right here on the Live Zone. I got to tell you, that was truly intriguing. The biggest takeaway with regard to the discovery within U.S. state houses, what would you say?
Honestly, I think the big takeaway here is that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. Here in the region, we recently had one allegation of sexual misconduct with Virginia State Delegate Dan Helmer, and he's a Democrat. So similar to what we've heard from experts, this isn't a blue or a red issue. It's simply an issue, and advocates want more for it.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing more light and shedding more light on this subject. That is exactly what we need to do. Janae Addison with the latest right here on the Live Zone. Great work, Janae. Really appreciate that. We'll take a quick break, guys. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, well, well. Look who strolled into the LZ. Media personality extraordinaire and very nicely dressed, I
Thank
might
you,
add.
sir.
Mr. Al Reynolds back here. Good to see you, my man.
This is honoring our frat brothers for their event tomorrow night, which is the KAPPA
Derby,
which is going to be in Maryland, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to be good?
No, I'm doing actually the Gold Cup. So
I'll be at the Gold. I'll be at the Gold Cup. I'll be at the Gold Cup. Okay, sorry. Some of us can't be as great as he, but I hear the Gold Cup. That's the Virginia Gold Cup, right?
That's correct. In the Plains. Tucker Barnes is going to be there. Our very own producer, Chris. He's stopping by as well. I think they're doing a tailgate segment.
Nice.
I'm posting a red carpet on members.
Maybe I'll sneak in.
Yeah, it'll be a good thing. All right. So, look, we're going to revisit some of our celebrity dish topics because I really want your take on this because you were all knowledgeable with regard to things that are taking place in the celebrity
but I'm not
world.
one to gossip.
Let's start off with Nick Cannon. Poet just touched on this, but I want your take as well, and that is obviously, well, he's catching a lot of bad flack rap, if you will. In this case, one of the women he had a child with says he needs to come see his kids. Well, she posted in her IG story that Nick hasn't seen their daughter in over 1 month, Al. Oof. The post was dripping with sarcasm, and she even commented on a story about Nick getting some insurance on his junk in the trunk.
No, not his junk in his trunk.
So what are you thinking about all of this?
Oh my goodness, this is really interesting. Actually, this is probably one of the juiciest stories that I've read this entire week, if you really want to be honest, because we know that he has 12 kids by 11 different women, and we always were like, well, how is he going to be a dad to all of them? Well, it's starting to unravel right now. And I need a little bit more clarity. When she says has not seen that child for a month, is that even by FaceTime?
Wow, didn't think about
because
that.
if it is not, if you haven't seen your child at least by phone or FaceTime, then we have a serious problem as a very wealthy, influential black media guy out here making babies and he's not seeing them.
Yeah, it's just messy. The mere fact that she, in essence, is airing his dirty lingerie.
Right.
And now, okay, if he hasn't done that, then perhaps they need to have a conversation, but I don't necessarily think the world needs to know.
Right, that's absolutely true. I agree with that. Some things need to be kept close to the vest, but I will say this, she did jump in that conversation where he is insuring his, not his junk in his trunk, but it's what he's making these babies with, and not ensuring that he's seeing his kids.
All right, well, hopefully they'll work it all out, including the insurance policy.
How do you insure that? What are you insuring it? Well, we're going to leave that right there with Guy, okay?
It's PG rated show, my friend. We'll talk about that off air.
Okay.
Let's talk about this as well. A big day coming up with regard to the Met Gala. Yes, Monday, the massive fashion event known for bringing together the A-list stars in this year's event. No different. According to Page 6, Madonna, Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross, I could just end at that, all happen to be attending, but wait, there's more. Lauryn Hill will likely be there as well. What are you thinking about this?
I find this super exciting. You know, this year's theme is called Super Fine. It's a tribute to black fashion and black excellence. The co-chairs were Pharrell, A$AP Rocky. You had LeBron is an honorary chair along with Anna Wintour. It's all focused around black men in style and fashion, as well as influence, right, and power. I'm so excited, and I'll be there. I'll be there, yes. I'm not attending
That's
the actual...
top story, Al. And you talk about me with the Gold Cup.
I will not be there at the actual gala, but I will be there covering the red carpet. So get ready for fashion on top of history, on top of excellence, on top of power and influence.
Wow.
Not only in just music, but also in fashion. I'm super excited. Now, about Lauryn Hill, let me tell you something, Lauren. Now, you can come late if you want to. You're going to miss this historical moment if you pull your shenanigans again. But the best part, too, is Shaboozie's been invited from the DMV. And how interesting is it that we have a representative from the DMV on one of the most important carpets of the entire year, and its focus is on black excellence. Oh, my goodness, this is a night to remember. And everyone who watches him and me, you need to be paying attention to the Met Gala this year.
So this is not your first year covering it, correct?
No, this would be my second year covering it.
Okay, and with regard to that, I'm just thinking about all the stars you get a chance to see.
Yeah.
But mainly the fashion. It is really the extreme. It
Yes.
goes all the way to
Yes.
an area in which you can't go any further.
Right, so I'm really excited about this because we're going to talk about with this year's fashion, it's black men fashion, black female fashion. So we got to add history. We've got to add struggle.
Yeah.
We got to add excellence. I mean, it's going to be expression. All of that is going to, I just can't wait to see how everyone interprets it and what they show up on the carpet with that night. But there's always some good fashion there. It's always someone who really takes it over the edge, and I can't wait to see it.
Wow. All right. The only thing bigger than that as we wrap up is that you have now been named the Professor of the Year.
Yes! Can you believe that? Yes, Bowie State University. I want to give a thank you shout out to the president, Aminta Bro. What a great leader I have over there at Bowie State. Thank you, Dr. Bro, for believing in me. Thank you, students, for seeing me. And thank you for my peers in faculty for even recommending me for this award. Yes, for 2024-2025, I got Outstanding Adjunct Professor at the oldest historically black college university in the state of Maryland.
Wow.
No, I've gotten a lot of awards, but I tell you, this one I hold close to my heart.
Yeah, no one is more deserving than you, Al. You have brought the students. They've been here several times.
Several
at Fox
times,
5
every
and given them a
semester.
tour, and you are truly a man that carries the torch and shows them the right way to go. And we truly appreciate all that you've done.
Thank you. Oh,
I mean,
that was so
right,
sensitive, guy. You're sensitive?
Yeah, I got you. We're going to take a quick break, guys. On the flip side of this break, Dr. Shaker, he joins us next, right here on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Al Reynolds, meeting a personality extraordinaire, is still joining us. If you could only see what happens off camera, guys.
I know, right?
Hey, so
Yes.
Ozempic, it's
Yes.
everybody and their mama happens to be talking about it. A
Mhm.
lot of folks using it still up until this very moment.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very, very interesting because, listen, if I wasn't holding my stomach in right now, I would need Ozempic myself. It's effective in weight loss, but what we're finding out, Guy, is that a lot of these weight stations or weight clinics, like in the mall, are giving what some people who are receiving it saying not so great Ozempic.
Yeah.
Meaning it has something in the compound, it's making them sick. So my heart goes out to anybody who's using the drug for weight loss and having any type of adverse, bad reactions to this, because that could actually lead to something like kidney failure, heart failure, all those extreme adverse reactions, and we don't want that out here, and definitely not in the DMV.
Yeah, well, to your point, we now know that the FDA and drug maker Novo Nordisk on Monday warned that counterfeit vials of Ozempic are now being sold to consumers, and to your point, may cause safety issues. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is, hey, he's back, Dr. Dave Shaker, right here from the Shaker Medical Group, right here on the Live Zone. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you guys also.
All right, so you heard Al and I touch on this. Obviously, a lot of folks in this day and age are using Ozempic. I would argue it's one of the most popular words in America right
it's
now.
synonymous with weight loss.
But yet again, we're also seeing this issue with regard to, let's say, counterfeit vials being used. What should we look out for?
So this is different than what you guys had mentioned about compounding. When you compound a medication, you're essentially taking the recipe, and you will, and instead of making it officially in Novo Nordisk's labs, it's being made in various labs, and that's okay. It's being sold elsewhere. That's going to go away now, and the majority of things are going to be used are just going to be the regular medication from Novo Nordisk. The issue that's being seen is that the FDA has flagged fake and counterfeit medication, as in it comes in the same vial, but what's in the medication or what's in the injection itself may not be anything related to semaglutide, the actual drug. It could be water, it could be insulin, it could be not following the exact same recipe, and that's been the concern. And there has been some people, they have not been terribly bad side effects, but who have experienced side effects, and the FDA is still looking into that.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So I mean, so how do you fix this? Do you recall certain lots? How will people know that they got the real stuff?
So the FDA has released a series of serial numbers that are available on their website that you can look into and check your box or your regular dose before taking it. It seemed pretty clear. The issue became that it was incorporated into the regular patterns, into regular pharmacies. It wasn't coming from any obscure places.
Gotcha.
I think the simplest thing I could say to people when it comes to these medication is follow a simple principle. You do get what you pay for. If you're getting something severely discounted, I would really question why and how that is. When it comes to giving yourself medication that's, again, severely discounted, I would shy away from that.
So, Doc, I was going to ask this, and sorry, because I'm very interested. Should I want to get this prescription from a doctor to be extra safe, or should I still think about going to these weight clinics?
So Guy and I have chatted about this in the past, and what's the difference between getting it from your doctor versus getting it from a clinic? I think two concepts. Number one, continuity of care matters. So I know my patients. I know who's indicated for it. I know who's going to benefit from it. I can guide their therapy quite well. I can follow them for symptoms, side effects, how and when to adjust the dosing, when I need to push a little bit harder on someone dieting and exercising, versus maybe the clinics are less attentive in certain circumstances, more focused on distributing the medication in a very fee-for-service model, just for continuity of more of a business-oriented versus going to see a regular doctor. I've always encouraged people to make sure as much as they can that they have a primary care physician. Your primary care doctor should be the quarterback of your health. You should have a good relationship with them. You should have an ongoing, at least once, if not twice a year, if you don't have any chronic medical conditions. And if you do have a chronic medical condition, then actually you should be seen even more frequently than that.
Dr. Shaker, we got about a minute left, and you made mention of you get what you pay for, but what if I've already paid for it and I've already used it?
Oh, yeah. And
what are the long-term effects overall?
So we don't know the long-term side effect of the fake or the counterfeit semaglutide that you're getting. But as far as long-term side effects with semaglutide, they're still all being discovered. The medication has been approved for about the last 7 years or so. And thus far, everything we know has been consistent. You can get pancreatitis, you can get gallstones, you can get acute kidney injury. But Guy, I've said this a dozen times, you always want to compare the side effect of the disease before you talk about the side effect of the medication. There's so much benefit from these drugs. Just recently, there was a JAMA study, New England Journal of Medicine, actually released that it reduces fatty liver. And there was people who had significant benefits from cirrhosis, from fibrosis, and all those things. We know that the GLP receptor, where the semaglutide works, is located throughout the body, in the brain, in the gut, in the liver. So we expect long-term benefits to continue to pop up, and more research is going to be done.
Well, thanks to you, we now have more awareness surrounding all things with regard to Ozempic. Dr. David Shaker joining us right here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Of course, if you want to find out more information, Dr. Shaker, how would one go about to do so?
They can look us up at Shaker Medical Group. You can just Google it. You can find us on Instagram, and we're always happy to help people if they're in the area.
Well, the doc always knows right.
Hey, I'm going to listen to him.
Good stuff. Thanks a lot, sir. We'll see you next time. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone as we follow and watch all things that are happening. In this case, he's watching his phone. Al Reynolds still joining us right here on the
I'm booked and busy. I got a lot of things going on here.
We see. Thank you for joining us.
You know what's stopping. So good seeing you again.
Good seeing you as well.
Our digital content producer joining us as well with some of the stories we're following for you right here on Fox 5. Hey, we got the crew back together again.
Yes, I love this. It's always a good time when the three of us get together.
Exactly. Never know
So what you got?
Okay, first thing, we have announced our zip trip destinations for this summer.
Oh, wow.
So I know everyone gets excited for this. We're going to be coming to a town near you.
Okay.
The first stop, we're kicking off in Bethesda. And then also following, we're going to be in Culpeper, Maryfield, just a few to kind of get you thinking about what's happening. But be sure to check our website for all of the sites. You can come out, support, and have a good time.
Now listen, you know I'm new back to the DMV.
Yes.
What exactly is Zip Trip?
Okay.
And how do we participate?
Yes, so Zip Trip is literally when Good Day DC basically comes out to the city. You get to kind of get a preview or understanding of what that town offers, have some fun. It's basically a live taping. So you really kind of get to see like the behind the scenes of what's going on.
This is gonna be fun.
Get involved in some fun. There's dancing, there's games, there's giveaways. I've been to a few Zip Trips and I have to say it feels like a block party or a festival of sorts. So you just have to figure out where the location is. We'll be posting it on our social and on the website as well, and just meet us there.
So Al, one of the things I noticed, and I'm glad she said it, is that when she made mention of the Zip Trip, she was very excited. Why? Because it's a chance for her to get out of the office.
You know, a little electric slide depending on who the DJ is.
Oh, we know where the fans at.
Yeah, oh yeah, I gotta get my fan
get
though.
your fan
I have a baby fan. It doesn't compare to Marissa's. Marissa's fan.
All right, so that's a feel-good story.
Yes.
This next one, I would argue a lot of folks are saying, they're not liking this at all.
What Six Flags is coming to an end in Bowie, Maryland. They will be closing their doors after the 2025 season. The official end date, their final date will be November 2nd. So this was announced on Thursday. And a lot of people are kind of having mixed feelings about it. I know a lot of people have a lot of memories at Six Flags, and this was a great place for kids to go to and youth, families, a lot of fun here. But we'll be saying goodbye to that Maryland staple.
Oh my gosh, it's just so hard to believe. You know, not to go off on a tangent, I was more a King's Dominion type of guy.
Of course you were.
I was just saying that.
But Six Flags is definitely a staple right here in this community. And we know that it is not zoned for residential. And so we're not going to see that anytime. We had Councilmember Walla Blagay on earlier. But a lot of folks would visit there, Al.
Let me tell you the thing about Six Flags. It was the first time I've seen a wig just flying around. It's the first time I saw raining cell phones. It's the first time I got to flirt with somebody my age. And funnel cake. Like, I am like devastated. Do you know all the memories I have in those parks, drinking lemonade and going home on a sugar high? But you know what the most depressing thing is? Not depressing, but sad thing is? We know that Six Flags for the city of Bowie generates $60 million
and that's
a
a lot
year.
of revenue.
Yeah, 2 million people visited Bowie's Six Flags in 2022. So for those 500 jobs to go away, that's where I'm most concerned.
Oh, for sure.
And also the flying wigs.
Still stuck on that.
I do wonder what will maybe replace this. Like, could we see another amusement park potentially? Because you make a good point with those jobs.
That's maybe they can repurpose it to something else.
Maybe.
So. We'll see.
We'll end with this, and that is 3 DC bars being recognized in a major way.
Yes, so a new list came out recognizing 50 bars in North America, basically ranking them for the best bars, if you will. And DC found their way, and three bars in DC found their way on that list. So one of them being Service Bar, it was listed, I believe, at the 23rd spot. Allegory, which actually has Alice in Wonderland theme, and then Silver Lion also listed on there as well.
Didn't make it.
No, it did not.
Are you familiar with any of those?
Well, you know, I'm a resident drinker. I know a good mixologist when I taste one. But you know what? I'm super excited because this is a list that we've never been able to find our way on for centuries, because people really think of DC as being kind of like single malts, only one type of alcohol, very political. So to see us actually land on this list is really showing us that this city is really becoming international in all its ways.
I agree, 100%. The only one that I really recognized was Allegory because of that Alice in Wonderland theme. But I haven't gotten a chance to visit them. But seeing this list, as you mentioned, will definitely probably give me an incentive to go. Like, I need to go to one of these bars.
All right. You have to leave work. I don't think you're going anytime soon.
Favorite drink? Favorite drink, Al?
Ooh, French martini.
Wow. Excuse me. You put your pinky in there.
Yeah. With a splash of champagne on top. Yeah.
All right, Sylvia.
I do a lemon drop if I'm gonna have a drink.
Come on, lemon drop yours.
Scotch.
Oh, of course
12.
it is.
Big
Macallan 18. $56 a shot.
Oh, gosh, this has been a lot of fun. By the way, yet again, big congratulations going out to Al. Al, yet again, named the Professor of the Year at Bowie State University.
Congratulations.
I'll take it.
And he actually unveiled that, as far as I know, right here on the Live Zone. You're going to get a chance to check out Al tonight. You're going to be on Like It or Not.
Yeah, Like It or Not. Oh, yeah, everyone, make sure to tune in to Like It or Not. And don't forget, I have a show on YouTube, Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, that you can catch every Tuesday, Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern.
All right, got 5 seconds.
Yes.
All right, and with that, The Take coming up next, right here on Fox.
We made it! Yes, it is Friday at 2 o'clock. Welcome into The Take at 2. Finally. It's beautiful out there, although maybe super hot as well. Welcome in today. I'm Rita Morocco. Let's get this show started. We have so many hot takes, and of course, ours, yours, everybody's. Let's bring in Fox 5 contributor, diva chef herself, Elise Harris, also known as Frida Kahlo, with the headpiece. Okay. Hey. We're all doing it on a Friday a little differently here. I love it. I love the pink. I love the color, the hair, the everything.
It's giving derby, right?
Yes.
I am the Mayflower that April showers bring.
Oh, okay.
Stop playing with me.
Poetic. Well, hopefully you'll bring some rain, because we need some rain for those flowers to come through. Speaking of the Derby, let's go up to the balcony, check in with radio host and another Fox 5 contributor, Autumn Joy, of course.
Hello.
But the guy with a pack day here at Fox 5, and he'll tell everybody online and anybody who'll listen. It is sports betting analyst Cam Rogers.
Derby weekend.
Let's get you out of timeout early, because we know that you're going to be going back up to timeout very quickly.
I'm not getting comfortable down here. I'm not.
Hello, Cam.
Hello, ladies.
Good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
Okay, we're matching in the blue here. I know that coming up later in the hour, you're going to be talking Kentucky Derby with us over in the DMV zone. So all I know is that if I put money on anything that Cam says, I'm coming for you.
It's like revealing the answer key to the final exam when I give predictions. So look out, people.
We'll see how accurate they are. In the meantime, this is your show as well. Call us 202-895-3200. That is the number. As you know, at any point in time, we'll buzz this thing.